first down.
Yep, they will move the change. Good run there by Joe Spiegel. But Delta really, luckily these first downs stop the clock every time, but with 11:02 left to play, down 35-12, you really got to start getting some urgency from your offensive rhythm as Delta continuing to take their time in the huddle and continuing with these running plays. I know that's the strength of this offense, but given the circumstances,
you kind of have to hurry up and score.
Exactly.
Yeah. Play clock down to 4. The handoff to Mills on the right side, and he will be drawn. No, the ball came loose at the 35-yard line. Yorktown says they have it, waiting for the signal by the referee, and there it is. The Tigers recover as Mills was stripped.
I'm not sure, but if Myron Howard caused that fumble, that is one of the most impressive plays in football I have ever seen in my life. Myron Howard was blocked cleanly. All he did was just kind of jump up and grab the runner, and then all of a sudden I just saw the ball come out. If Myron Howard forced that fumble, that's mind-blowing. That's absolutely fantastic. Either way, huge turnover there in both aspects. Yorktown now with a huge advantage, looking to get more points on the game, on the board, and really seal this victory. Delta now in deep trouble.
10.5 to play here in the sectional championship. After the fumble by Mills, Neal on the shotgun, going to take it himself across the 40, dives to the 45-yard line. Maybe a pickup of about 5 or 6 on the play for the quarterback.
And this is where you can see some emotions start to rise. You may have caught it on the camera, but as soon as that ball was fumbled and Yorktown recovered, Zagunda just threw his clipboard into the air, and it flew way back almost to the fence behind the track. You hope that kind of emotion and frustration doesn't transfer now onto the field with the players, as for Delta, the circumstances are not easy, losing by this much postseason to your crosstown rival.
Neal will take it himself again across midfield, takes a shot at the 49-yard line, enough to move the chains for the Tigers. So again, at halftime, Riley Neal had just 2 rushing yards.
And really even started this half with 0 because his first carry went backward.
Right. And then on the last drive, a couple drives ago actually, it was Riley Neal on the 65-yard drive, a running play for him on every play. He had all 65 yards and punched it into the end zone, and then their last drive he was able to punch it in again. 1st and 10. This time he'll hand it off. This is Peyton Stites as he is stopped at the 41-yard line. Another tackle for Riley Peace.
And good clock management here by the Yorktown Tigers. They're really milking this clock, letting the play clock tick down to about 2, maybe even 1 second left before they snap the ball, and really maximizing how much time they can take off.
Timeout taken here in the 4th quarter. 9:03 remaining. Yorktown trying to win their first sectional championship since 2008. They lead 35-12 here on DelawareCountyVoice.com.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Indiana. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Folks, if you're not doing so already, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Delaware Co Voice, trying to reach 2,000 followers by the end of the school year. Currently at 1,270. So thanks to DCV Nation following us, interacting with us on Twitter as we've been tweeting updates throughout this entire Sectional 28 championship. Coming out of the timeout, a run for Peyton Stites, and he's able to... they might rule him just short of the first down. They might have to bring the chains out for this one.
I would say measure here.
Yep, and they will bring it out.
Both referees on both ends of the field are basically right at the first down marker. Hard to tell whether or not he picked it up.
Before that commercial break, we mentioned Yorktown trying to win their first sectional championship since 2008. If they're able to hang on for this win, it'll be just their fourth sectional championship in program history. And again, the winner of this sectional 28 championship will move on to next week's regional, as the first down is confirmed by the referee. So Peyton Stites able to move the chains for Yorktown. Again, the winner of this game will move on to the regional to face the winner of Fort Wayne Bishop Luers and Garrett. The last update that we had from that game, Luers was up 35-0 at halftime.
That's the unfortunate thing about the long postseason of high school football. You know, you have a big victory like getting a rare sectional championship for your program, and then you immediately have to move on to regionals, and in this case, take on a much tougher opponent in Fort Wayne Luers.
They are ranked number 3 in the 3A polls. Another handoff to Stites. He's across the 35 to the 30 and brought down hard by David Smeckens at the 29-yard line. So now the Yorktown offense using Peyton Stites in the running department here in the fourth quarter.
Peyton Stites really being used almost like the Pittsburgh Steelers used to use the bus. Jerome Bettis back in the day, they brought him in late in games to just pummel over defenders and really run out that clock, and that's exactly what Peyton Stites is doing as he ran through 2 defenders' arm tackles before picking up about 9 yards on that run.
It'll be 2nd and 1 for the Tigers at the 29-yard line. Nail in the shotgun with Stites in the backfield. They'll hand it off to Stites. Flag thrown, and it's going to be a false start on Yorktown.
Yeah, it's going to be an illegal motion. I believe the pulling guard got a little too early of a start there, and that's going to move the ball back. Wes is going to be so proud of me that I referenced his Pittsburgh Steelers.
We'll bring in Wes. He's, again, running the camera for us on top of the press box. We owe him a lot of hot chocolate and hand warmers at the end of this broadcast. We got a chance to talk with him at halftime. I said, "You keeping warm?" He said, "No. No, I'm not." Temperatures in the upper 30s here in Yorktown. We started this game at 41 degrees. The best part about this is there's no wind.
Right. If there were
There's
wind,
no way, it would have been awful. So after the Yorktown penalty, you're looking at 2nd and 6. They'll hand it off to Stites up the middle. Not everyone went for the fake, as coming in was Caleb Slavin. Took a shot to Riley Neal in the backfield. Meanwhile, Stites was able to pick up a few on the play. Now you're looking at a 3rd and a long 3.
And again, Yorktown looking for a flag for a late hit there, or unnecessary roughness, more or less. No such penalty thrown. But again, Riley Neal takes so many shots.
He really does.
In his physical style of play, he has to hurt the morning after games.
3rd and 3 for Yorktown. Ball at the 32-yard line. Play clock at 2 at 1. Neal takes the snap, hands it off to Stites once more up the middle and gets close to the 25-yard line. So about the 26.
It's going to be just enough for a first down. And this long drive continues for Yorktown as they continue to just take their time, get a delayed play call in, really milk that play clock, and take off as much time as they can to seal this victory.
Nearing the 6-minute mark remaining here in the ball game.
Going back to talking about West, I'm cold, and we're in the press box.
Yeah. It's a chilly night. They'll hand it off to Stites up the middle again across the 25. Takes a couple of shots at about the 22-yard line. The thing about Peyton Stites, that was a very good reference, though, Tony, about the bus. Because Peyton Stites is big. We've seen him all. We've had the privilege of covering Yorktown all season long here on DCV. And Peyton Stites, he's not the biggest dude, but then he'll surprise you when he's running over defenders.
Well, and the thing to remember, I think Peyton Stites is a linebacker first and a running back second because he also plays on the defensive side of the ball for the Tigers at linebacker and is a hard hitter and really has that mentality when he runs with the football.
Listed at 6 foot, 192 pounds. I'd say he's probably bigger than that. They'll hand it off to him once more. Across the 20, dives to the 15, and finally brought down right around that 15-yard line.
And you know that 192 pounds, there's a lot of muscle.
Oh, absolutely.
You're talking about a guy that really hits the weight room, especially to play linebacker and running back. You've got to be a strong individual. And Stites is barreling over defenders, showing he definitely has the strength and power and explosiveness to make a difference in a high school football game like he has all season long.
And they spot the ball at the 17-yard line. 5 minutes remaining here in the Sectional 28 championship. Play clock at 5. Neal goes under center for the first time tonight. Hands it off to Stites, and he is brought down in the backfield. Leading the tackle for the Eagles, 51, Brayton Conley. Takes Stites back to the 20-yard line. Clock still winding down to 4.5 remaining here in the ballgame.
Big loss there that time on the running play, but the important part, Stites stayed in bounds and forced an official timeout.
Now that's not good. That's Mason Bechtel being carried off the field by a couple of his teammates. You don't see it on your video screen, but we're getting a shot here in the press box, and Mason Bechtel needing help from a couple of his teammates to get to the sidelines. And that's
a huge loss.
Not a good sign for Delta.
That is a huge loss for Delta. I mean, considering the circumstances of this game, it's highly unlikely that Delta would have come back anyway, but hopefully that's not a severe injury because Bechtel has been a huge, huge part of Delta's program, not just offensively as he has a number of big plays carrying the ball, but he also starts on defense as well. Has 35 tackles, 6 for loss coming into this game. That's a lot of production that just went off the field.
Neal will hand it off to Stites again, and he is met up at the line of scrimmage as he's brought down by David Smeckens. The first to get to him was 71, Caleb Slavin. And it will be about 3rd and 13 for Yorktown at the 20-yard line. 3:40 to play here in the championship. Yorktown milking the clock as much as they can as they are getting closer and closer to celebrating their first sectional championship in 6 years. Play clock at 5. Neal on the shotgun. Takes the snap. Hands off to Stites, and he is met up at the 20-yard line again by a couple of Eagles. It'll bring up 4th down for Yorktown. And we'll have to see what the Tigers are going to do. We've already seen a multitude of turnover on downs by both teams here in the second half, but it looks like Clay Dungan and Yorktown are going to go for a field goal.
I'd expect Yorktown to let this play clock run down all the way down to probably 1 or 2 seconds and then call a timeout before they kick this field goal. No, maybe not.
They'll kick it. Dungan, the attempt is short. And he is now 0 for 3 on field goal attempts this year. But Yorktown took as much time off the clock as possible as the Tigers come here to the near sideline and getting a round of applause from some of the fans down here as Yorktown leading 35-12. They are 2.5 minutes away from celebrating a sectional title here tonight.
And give credit where credit is due. You know, this game was relatively close throughout the first half. Yorktown made the adjustments they needed to at halftime, came out, effectively ran the ball in dominating fashion with Riley Neal as he just carried the ball all the way down 65 yards on a drive to punch it into the end zone. And defensively, Yorktown has really stepped up, although here Spiegel gets a nice gain.
As he takes it to the 35-yard line.
The thing about this game, though, we have a number of drives that have ended on turnovers, on downs, but as far as actual turnovers are concerned, fumbles and interceptions, there's only one apiece. Riley Neal with a fumble early in this game, and then Delta fumbled the ball away on their previous drive.
1st and 10 after the run by Spiegel. Ball at the 35-yard line. They'll pitch it out to Spiegel again, and he is met up at the line of scrimmage. Nate Phillips with the tackle. Spiegel might have gained 1, maybe 2 on the carry.
And Nathan Phillips was the one that made the tackle, but give credit to Myron Howard. He did a great job containing the outside. Even though he was blocked, Spiegel had no chance to bounce the ball out because Myron Howard did a phenomenal job keeping his blocker right where he was, and then Nathan Phillips filled the gap.
2nd and 8 after the 2-yard run by Spiegel. I formation. Jones fakes the handoff, throws out to the right side. It is caught by Stone across the 40 to the 45 and slips up at the 46. The reception for Stone.
Tate Stone's first catch of the night.
Wow. Averaging 64 receiving yards per game. That was enough for a first down as they spot the ball at the 46-yard line. 1:05 remaining here in the ball game. I formation. Jones under center. Takes the snap and hands it off to Spiegel. Left side, and he is going to be taken down in the backfield. Tackle for loss by Myron Howard. 2nd and 12 as the clock under a minute to play, and the Yorktown fans starting to cheer on their feet as their Yorktown Tigers 30 seconds away from a sectional championship. Game clock at 23 seconds.
This could be the last play of the game.
Jones will take the snap, hand it off to Mills up the middle. Picks up a couple of yards. That will do it. For the first time since 2008, the Yorktown Tigers are sectional champions.
Yorktown with a phenomenal effort on both sides of the ball all throughout this game and all throughout really the entire sectional tournament. Yorktown, or Delta rather, able to get some success running the ball early in this game. But I mentioned earlier, Yorktown, Coach Wilhelm, able to make those halftime adjustments defensively and offensively, get things going back completely under your control. This second half was all Yorktown, and they wholeheartedly deserve to win this sectional championship.
35-12, your final score, and Yorktown will celebrate a 3A football sectional title here in front of their crowd on their home field as they defeat their rivals from Delta. 35-12, the final score here tonight. We'll take a timeout. You'll see the celebration on your video screen. The post-game show coming up next here on DelawareCountyVoice.com.
There's just one place where students are students first, and athletics are played with purpose and perspective. That place is your local high school. High school sports offer more than the joy of competition. Studies show that student athletes in Indiana are also likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in other areas of their lives, including academics. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
You began building your resume when you enrolled in the EPIC program at the University of St. Francis, a defining moment for your future. EPIC students are led by accomplished professors who believe in you and are there to guide you through a business program that provides work experience and executive mentorship. Don't just get a degree. Get experience and a resume that can only be described as
impressive.
the University of St. Francis. This is your moment. Believe.
They are role models and educators. Their work requires a great deal of time and energy for very little pay. Who are these unsung heroes?
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
The simple truth about education-based athletics in Indiana is this. Without a committed team of coaches and administrators, it just wouldn't be possible. School sports, they bring out the best in all of us. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Do you own a business or know of a business in Delaware County that would be interested in sponsoring high school sports on DCV? Delaware County Voice is looking for businesses to sponsor Yorktown and Delta Athletics this season. Sponsorship deals start as low as $30 a week. If you know of a business that's interested, contact us on Facebook or Twitter or find us at the game. Start your business's partnership with DCV today.
The world of high school sports is filled with athletes who possess the eye of the tiger and whose focus and determination enables them to soar like eagles. The games themselves can't be played without a few zebras. Becoming an IHSAA official is a great way to be part of the action and to support Indiana's healthy tradition of high school athletics. Visit IHSAA.org and get in the game. This message brought to you by the IHSAA and the high schools in your community.
High school sports. Pure spirit, pure sport.
Pure determination. Nothing is going to stand in the way of my becoming the best student athlete I can be.
Pure spirit, pure sport.
Pure leadership. I don't just play an important role on my team. I play an important role in my community.
Pure spirit, pure sport.
Pure sportsmanship. I recognize the attitude counts, and that being a good sport is the only way to play.
There are plenty of ways student athletes in Indiana demonstrate the values of high school sports. At the Indiana High School Athletic Association, we salute each and every one of them. The IHSAA, pure spirit, pure sport.
Pure effort.
Pure dedication, pure Indiana.
This message made possible by the IHSAA and the high schools in this community.
You don't have to sit at your desktop to listen to games on the Voice Sports Network. Take the game wherever you go. There are multiple ways to tune in, on your laptop, your tablet, or even on your smartphone. Tune into games on the Voice Sports Network at work, in your car, or even at the game. Be sure to tell your friends and family, and thanks for choosing the Voice Sports Network.
The world of high school sports is filled with athletes who possess the eye of the tiger and whose focus and determination enables them to soar like eagles. The games themselves can't be played without a few zebras. Becoming an IHSAA official is a great way to be part of the action and to support Indiana's healthy tradition of high school athletics. Visit IHSAA.org and get in the game. This message brought to you by the IHSAA and the high schools in your community.
In Fort Wayne, two sisters make a historic splash when they swim their way to a pair of individual state titles.
In Evansville, a boys and girls soccer team becomes state champions in the same year for the same school, claiming their place in Indiana history.
In Bloomington, 12 young men combine their talents, check their egos, and net a basketball state title.
High school sports have provided us with as many inspirational stories as there are towns in Indiana.
In Valparaiso, a gymnastics team scores a perfect season, winning a record 7th state championship for their school in the process.
A football team south of Indianapolis refuses to lose, comes from behind, and runs away with an improbable state title.
What will the story be in your community? High school sports. Pure spirit, pure sport, pure Indiana. This message made possible by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the high schools in this community.
Have you heard? Winning isn't everything. Championships are great, but there's more to sports than separating the world into winners and losers. The way we play matters too. The choice is simple. You can choose gamesmanship, or you can choose sportsmanship. Gamesmanship is another way of saying whatever it takes. You know the types. They taunt their opponents. Throw the occasional elbow for good measure. Whatever it takes to gain the upper hand. Sportsmanship relies less on underhanded tactics and more on things like strategy, skill, and smarts. It's less about stooping to trickery and more about rising to the occasion. Gamesmanship or sportsmanship? Both can lead to victory, but only one represents the true measure of a champion. Play like a champion. Practice sportsmanship. This message brought to you by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the high schools in your community.
If an individual student athlete or team wins a high school state championship, it's an amazing thing. It's also just the icing on the cake. That's because young people in Indiana who participate in education-based athletics are already winners. Studies show that win or lose, participation helps to impart skills they can use to enjoy greater success in other areas of their lives. School sports teach the benefits of teamwork, the value of self-motivation, and the importance of accountability. They also help to foster stronger work habits and higher levels of self-esteem. In other words, the true value of school sports can't be measured in terms of wins or losses. If an individual or team goes to state, it's an incredible accomplishment. But regardless of the outcome, today's student athletes are already destined to go far. School sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association. If an individual student athlete or team wins a high school state championship, it's an amazing thing. It's also just the icing on the cake. That's because young people in Indiana who participate in education-based athletics are already winners. Studies show that win or lose, participation helps to impart skills they can use to enjoy greater success in other areas of their lives. School sports teach the benefits of teamwork, the value of self-motivation, and the importance of accountability. They also help to foster stronger work habits and higher levels of self-esteem. In other words, the true value of school sports can't be measured in terms of wins or losses. If an individual or team goes to state, it's an incredible accomplishment. But regardless of the outcome, today's student athletes are already destined to go far. School sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Welcome to the world of Boomer compact tractors from New Holland. We know that buying a compact tractor is an exciting time and an important decision. Our goal is to answer your questions and give you the information needed to make an informed decision.
To learn more about New Holland compact tractors, visit New Holland Tri-County Incorporated on State Road 1 South in Bluffton.
Let's talk about the X's and O's of family entertainment. Every parent in Indiana knows the importance of being able to draw up an activity that'll get you out of the house for a couple of hours. But it needs to be affordable. It needs to be family-friendly. Above all, it needs to be fun. Now, let's talk about high school sports. Bang for your buck, school sports provide the perfect game plan for your family. You'll enjoy all of the drama and excitement competitive sports offer. You'll be supporting the future leaders of our community in a meaningful way. Best of all, you can take the entire family without breaking the bank. Heck, you won't even dent it. Now, enough chalk talk. Let's get out there and see what's playing at the high school in your community. School sports. Good for our kids, good for our community. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Can you believe it? Can you believe it? The Tigers have won! In sectional 80-68, the Tigers knock off the number 3 ranked Bishop Moores.
For over 5 years, the Voice Sports Network has brought you coverage of high school sports in Northeast and East Central Indiana.
Arias breaks a tackle, gets to the outside. Boom, big block by Travis Crow, touchdown. Arias Vasquez, wow.
Since the start in 2009, the Voice Sports Network has expanded to 6 different websites in Wells County, Adams County, Allen County, Delaware County, DeKalb County, and Blackford County. bringing you broadcasts of football, volleyball, boys and girls basketball, baseball, and softball for 17 different high schools.
Back by Gillis as a sophomore. Yorktown has it. Kastner will give it a go. Boom! Marley Kastner.
Thanks to the fans and sponsors for the continued support of the Voice Sports Network.
There's still a place. There's still a place where performance is enhanced by extra effort, not by performance-enhancing drugs. There's still a place where contracts are between coaches and players, and the terms are non-negotiable. There's still a place where an edge is something you gain by working harder than your opponent. There's still a place where sport is pure. That place is the high school in your community. At the Indiana High School Athletic Association, we believe that while competition can be fierce, it doesn't change the fact that it's only a game. The goal may be to win, but the point is to have fun. And if you want to be reminded of just how great sports can be when they're played the right way, then the place to be is at a high school sporting event in your community. High school sports, pure spirit, pure sport, pure Indiana. This message made possible by the IHSAA and the high schools in this community. This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Indiana. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Have you heard? Winning isn't everything. Championships are great, but there's more to sports than separating the world into winners and losers. The way we play matters too. The choice is simple. You can choose gamesmanship, or you can choose sportsmanship. Gamesmanship is another way of saying whatever it takes. You know the types. They taunt their opponents. Throw the occasional elbow for good measure. Whatever it takes to gain the upper hand. Sportsmanship relies less on underhanded tactics and more on things like strategy, skill, and smarts. It's less about stooping to trickery and more about rising to the occasion. Gamesmanship or sportsmanship? Both can lead to victory, but only one represents the true measure of a champion. Play like a champion. Practice sportsmanship. This message brought to you by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the high schools in your community.
There's just one place where students are students first, and athletics are played with purpose and perspective. That place is your local high school. High school sports offer more than the joy of competition. Studies show that student athletes in Indiana are also likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in other areas of their lives, including academics. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
The world of high school sports is filled with athletes who possess the eye of the tiger and whose focus and determination enables them to soar like eagles. The games themselves can't be played without a few zebras. Becoming an IHSAA official is a great way to be part of the action and to support Indiana's healthy tradition of high school athletics. Visit IHSAA.org and get in the game. This message brought to you by the IHSAA and the high schools in your community.
They are role models and educators. Their work requires a great deal of time and energy for very little pay. Who are these unsung heroes?
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
The simple truth about education-based athletics in Indiana is this. Without a committed team of coaches and administrators, it just wouldn't be possible. School sports, they bring out the best in all of us. This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Last season, we asked you, DCB Nation, to help us reach 1,000 followers on Twitter.
Are you following Delaware County Voice on Twitter?
And you came through in the clutch. Now, with that goal reached, we return with a new task. DCB Nation, we ask you to help us reach 2,000 followers. Rise to your feet. Go to your laptops and smartphones. Get on your Twitters and follow at Delaware Co Voice. You have the talent. You have the skill. Now, have the desire. Follow us at Delaware Co Voice.
Post-game show on DCV, brought to you by Rosenthal Orthodontics. They're located at 3901 North Wheeling. Rosenthal Ortho houses the area's only board-certified orthodontist, Dr. Mark Rosenthal. They use cutting-edge technology with knowledge and craftsmanship to give adults and children the healthiest, best-looking smile. Call the office today at 289-2377. That's Rosenthal Orthodontics, the choice of champions. And speaking of champions, we are now joined by the head coach of the Yorktown Tigers, Mike Wilhelm, sectional champion, the first in program history since 2008. It's been 6 years. And, Coach, first question I just got to ask you, besides cold, how does it feel to be a sectional champion and lead this fantastic program in 2014?
It's an awesome feeling, no doubt about it. And really the best feeling for us is we've been talking about championships the entire year and how you win championships and what you need to do to win championships, and our kids have bought into that attitude, and I'm so happy for them because we had an opportunity last year against West Lafayette and didn't quite happen, and we vowed from there that our defense had to get better, and our defense came up huge tonight. I mean, our offense I think will always be there for the most part, but for our defense to hold their guys down was what we needed to do to win the championship.
Well, Coach, it was kind of a tale of two halves as far as the offensive focus was concerned. Riley Neal at the end of the first half only had 2 rushing yards, and that you completely flipped the script there in the second half. What was the change there?
Yeah, it was weird. Even though we had a lead at halftime, I never felt like our offense got in a rhythm. And I think that's just because we have to be able to run the ball.
Right.
And when we run the ball, that gets our passing game in rhythm also. So we had some very explosive plays. I'm looking at the play sheet at halftime. We have 15, 13, 15, 17, penalty. And we came in at halftime, the coaching said, hey, we got to run the ball. And our offensive line stepped up to that challenge.
And you had the running game, but you also had the passing game as well. Riley Neal connecting to his favorite target, Riley Miller, here tonight, having a heyday. First off, the kickoff return to start the game, 90 yards. Was that a design trick play? Because he faked the handoff to Jawan, then kept it himself, went 90 yards. Looked pretty much like what you guys did at Pendleton Heights earlier this year.
Exact same thing. We said, game plan-wise, early on, Riley Miller has to get touches in this game. So we were happy they kicked it to him, first of all. And believe it or not, he called it. Riley Miller, we're talking before the game out there in the end zone, and I'm like, hey, I'm talking to my captains, if we win the toss, we want the ball. We're starting on offense. And Riley Miller looks over at me and said, Coach, what if I score a touchdown on the kickoff? So he called a shot. And that's awesome. We talk about playmakers making plays, and Riley Miller's a playmaker.
So next up on the schedule, it's final now. Lures came away with a dominating victory. So you're going to face Fort Wayne Lures. What's your thought on that? I know we talked a little bit just before we came back on air about that. How do you feel?
I'm happy. A lot of people are like, what? You're happy to play one of the best high schools in the state of Indiana ever in football, but I am so happy that we have an opportunity to travel up to Fort Wayne to see where we're at, to see how we stack up against a school that has won, I think they're like 13 or 14 state championships at this point. So I'm excited. I know our kids will be very excited. And the thing for us is this is not icing on the cake. Our goal has always been to win a state championship. So we need to prepare as if we are going to do that. It can be take a week off and play around and not get better. And I think our kids will do that. Our seniors, our 14 seniors, will not let the rest of this team slack off, and they're going to get better this week. And I guarantee the seniors will be ready to play next week against Lures.
It's going to be fun. Number 3 Lures, number 8 Yorktown next Friday night for the regional championship. But you get to enjoy the sectional championship over the weekend, but definitely getting ready to prepare Monday in practice for these boys. But it has to feel really well, really good to win this sectional title. First one since 2008, just the 4th in program history, but second for you here at Yorktown. And to do it over Delta, we've talked about how, this is a rivalry that everyone knows in Delaware County, especially on the gridiron. And for you guys to hold Delta, they had just 286 total yards, 237 of them coming from the running game. But you guys held Joe Spiegel to 76 rushing yards. Here tonight, he's averaging 171 per game. And this is the second time this year that you've been able to hold Delta's running back to well below his average. To do it twice in 1 year speaks a lot for your defense here this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cliche, defense wins championships, but I, as a coach, believe that. And like I said, we had to make that choice after giving up 54 points last year to West Lafayette, that wasn't going to happen again. And so we changed some things in the offseason. We changed our attitude at the beginning of the year. And you're right, it's unlikely that Spiegel would not rush for 100 yards. So I give it up to our defense that they came ready to play, and obviously our focus was to stop him. So to execute that game plan speaks volumes of where our kids are at right now in this season. And the nice thing is I feel like we're hitting that climax point overall in terms of where we're at, and we just need to continue to ride that and ride this momentum into next week against Lures.
Well, Coach, I guess I got one final question for you. The playoff beard.
Yeah.
Is that going to continue to be a thing? It's getting noticeable now.
Scruffy.
Seems to be working magic so far this postseason. Is that going to keep going for you?
It has to. How could I get rid of this ugly thing now? Right?
So it's not just No Shave November. You started this.
I started this 3 weeks ago.
There we go. Okay. All right.
Me and a couple other coaches were like, because we needed an attitude change. Even though we're winning 4 or 5 games in a row and we're on a streak, we knew to win a championship we had to be tough. So the coach was like, "Hey, how do we look tough since we don't get to play? Well, let's just grow some beards and look tough."
There you go. Fantastic. One final question for you, Coach. For the first time ever in program history, you guys now have 11 wins in one season. How does that feel for you as the head coach of Yorktown?
Well, I don't know if that matters too much to me. It's just I'm happy for our kids that this year will be historically at this point, the best season in Yorktown football history. So I'm happy that Riley Neal and Jacob Preston and Myron Howard and Trey Cates, they have that on their name now. So 40 years from now, when they get together, they can say, "Hey, remember back in 2014, yeah, we were the best team in Yorktown history." So I'm happy for those guys that they can say that stuff.
Awesome. Yorktown with the win here in the Sectional 28 championship. 35-12 is the final. Coach Wilhelm, thanks for joining us here in the postgame show here on DelawareCountyVoice.com, and another congratulations on the win here tonight.
All right, guys, thanks for coming. I appreciate it a lot.
Coach Wilhelm here on DCV as Yorktown wins their first sectional title since 2008, their 4th overall sectional championship in program history, as they now have 1983, 1998, 2008, and now 2014. A big, big win for the Yorktown Tigers. They are now 11-1 on the season. As we just mentioned, the most wins in 1 year ever by a Yorktown football team, and they will move on to play at Fort Wayne Bishop Luers next Friday night to take on the number 3 ranked Knights. For the Delta Eagles, their season ends at 7-5. Nothing to hang your head about at all for these Delta Eagles. A great season for them, and Cade Jones leading the way as the quarterback. for this Eagles squad. Joe Spiegel, the running back, coming in 6th best in the state with 30 rushing touchdowns. He did not have one tonight, was held to just 76 yards. But, Tony, let's give a big shout-out to Mason Bechtel. 8 carries for 107 rushing yards and a touchdown as well. A good game for Mason Bechtel and the Delta Eagles.
Yeah, that's the thing that Delta, I think, is going to struggle to realize, especially here in the waning moments of this big loss, because for one, it ends your season, and two, the scoreboard wasn't pretty. But give Delta credit. You know, they came in and played a very good game. It's just it seemed like just the way this game went that Yorktown rather was simply the better program, better team in this game. Delta simply came up against an opponent that just they couldn't get over. They came into an obstacle that they couldn't achieve. But that being said, you know, you look at the season as a whole. Joe Spiegel, even though he didn't have his best game tonight, I mean, 1,885 rushing yards. That's still 1,885 rushing yards, and 30 touchdowns is still 30 touchdowns.
And he broke the Delta record.
Exactly. Tonight he was able to break the Delta career rushing record, so that's something that he will be able to remember for a very, very long time. And as just really, as far as the rest of this Delta team goes, you do basically what Yorktown did a year ago. You know, Coach Wilhelm just told us they gave up 54 points to West Lafayette to lose in this sectional championship last year, and they made a concerted effort to get better on defense, to have a different mentality when it came to the kind of team they wanted to be. Delta now can kind of do the same thing. They lose here, giving up 35 points, a good number of rushing and passing yards. They basically are going to have to do the same thing in this offseason. Get better, focus on getting better on defense. You've got the running game with a number of your backs, not just Joe Spiegel, but a number of guys are capable to be the bell cow of this offense. At this point now, you just need to focus getting better defensively and make a concerted effort to fix the problems, fill the holes that were exposed in this game. And Delta can really surprise some people a year from now.
Another thing to note about this Delta football season, for the 14th time in the last 15 years, they finish with a winning record. That's
impressive.
Is phenomenal for the Delta football program. 14 out of the last 15 years, a winning record. Delta finishes at 7-5. Like we mentioned, Yorktown advances to 11-1, the most wins in one season in program history, and they will move on to take on number 3 Fort Wayne Bishop Luers next week in the regional in Fort Wayne. And like Coach Wilhelm said, he's excited. He's happy that he gets to play one of the best programs ever in the state of Indiana in IHSAA history. Fort Wayne Luers has a huge, rich tradition. For Yorktown to go up into Fort Wayne to play on Luers Field, it's going to be a big night next Friday.
Yeah, and for Yorktown fans and even the Yorktown players to know that their head coach is excited to go play this opponent, that means a ton. Not just in the sense that, you know, your coach is competitive, he wants a challenge, all that kind of stuff. That means he's got a load of confidence in his roster, in his team, and, you know, why not? I mean, we talked about just a second ago that this is arguably the greatest Yorktown football team that has ever been through this school, this program. So be excited. The rest of Yorktown should be just as excited as Coach Wilhelm is. If Yorktown can go up to Fort Wayne and pull that upset, that would be a win for the ages.
One more thing to get excited about. You know it's going to be a big game. We mentioned in the pregame show, Riley Neal coming into tonight was 3rd in 3A in passing touchdowns. Luers quarterback Noah Wazinski, 2nd.
Oh, wow.
In 3A. Riley Neal, 1st in 3A with passing yards. Noah Wazinski is 2nd. It's a true battle of top 3A quarterbacks next Friday night. Yorktown against Bishop Luers. That's going to be fun. I'm excited.
That'll be a fun match.
It's going to be fun tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but next Friday night here on DelawareCountyVoice.com. DCVNetwork.com. So our fall season for broadcasting football and volleyball continues next week. Starting next week.
Don't say it. Oh, boy.
Girls basketball, believe it or not.
That's insane.
We'll be covering Delta and Yorktown girls and boys basketball this winter, and believe it or not, the basketball season starts next week.
That's unbelievable.
So if you know any businesses out there that would love to sponsor girls and or boys basketball for Delta and or Yorktown here on DCV, please get in contact with us. We're looking for sponsors. We will also look for sponsors for next Friday night's regional game between Yorktown and Lures. How to contact us if you're interested, Facebook or Twitter. Like our Facebook page. Simply search Delaware County Voice, and on Twitter at Delaware Co Voice. Wes Lorenz is our cameraman. He is too cold to talk, so we're going to wrap things up here from Tigers Stadium. A big shout out to Wes running the camera for us tonight. He's going to thaw out the rest of this weekend. For Tony Sandleben, I'm Robert Connett. Thanks for joining us here this Friday night as Yorktown wins the sectional 28 championship. 35-12 your final score. Yorktown against Lures in the regional next Friday night on DCV. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. From Tiger Stadium, signing off. Good night.